think Tribal's going to be really interesting for this. I know with the Lords, it's going to be something that people are going to try and probably gravitate to. There's plenty of removal, so I'm a little bit terrified for decks that probably play red, white, and black. Even Blue's got some pretty interesting bounce and counters. The fact that you've got negate and a cancel at the common level, so we'll see. I'm pretty excited. I think it's going to be a fun format, and there's definitely some cards that I'm interested to just kind of see how they're going to impact Standard.
Foil dogs, let's go.
Is the Blood Moon thing actually a rare?
Yes.
Oh. So whilst we have Kumenas spiking to upwards of millions of dollars, I thought I should touch on a tribe that I think is definitely standard playable, makes for a really interesting mechanic and interaction in Rivals. I did a mono black vampire tribal budget deck list a while back, and I was really happy to see some of the support that Vampires got. Vampires are one of the most iconic and oldest Magic tribes. You had Sengir in Alpha, so they go back a very, very long time. I think one of the biggest issues that you had with Vampires in Ixalan is that you either had to choose whether you wanted the double black for Aetherborn and walk the plank, or if you wanted white to be able to cast Legion's Landing on turn 1. And I think Rivals has done a really good job of either showing you that you can play some other black vampires, or even giving you just the addition of the Lord, but also adding some solid white 1 and 2 drops, which really help you curve out. And you can play black definitely more as a support color with things like Fatal Push, rather than having to rely on needing that awkward double white, double black interactions in early turns. One of the things that I was most impressed with the Vampire deck was that it actually has really nice interaction in terms of curve with the Lord and the Tutor, and some really key 4 drops. You've obviously got cards like Forerunner of the Legion, which makes it really easy to go and get cards like your Twilight Prophet or even Mavrin from Ixalan. And I still think there is value with cards like your Henny in there, certainly with like board wipes and stuff. I think you can get some very interesting interaction and get a huge Henny, which has haste as well, so I love the ability to come in and deal a lot of damage. Any deck that gets to play things like Fatal Push and Radiant Destiny, for example, whilst having access to Ixalan's Binding, I think is always going to be a very, very powerful deck. And Adanta Vanguard has to be one of the best tribal 2-drops that I think we've seen in a pretty long time, so pretty excited to have those cards speak of the devil as we just reveal a Radiant Destiny there. So I think Vampires definitely have a place going forward after the ban. We've seen legendary Vampires, even in some sets like themed around Dominaria, which we're going back to. So there is certainly hope that we see more Vampires. I know this is the first time that we're seeing the mono white Vampire. Vampires traditionally were red, black, or even just black, which we saw in some of the Innistrad sets. So I'm pretty excited that we do get the ability to potentially build on some of these decks that are coming out. And as we look at a River Data, everyone knows about Merfolk. They're a modern playable deck, but it's really awesome to see some love being shown to Vampires. I am excited to see kind of where they take, I guess, the Vampire tribe. When we do go back to Dominaria, how much are they going to feature? Because that will be probably a huge part of, can this deck get better? Obviously having a Lord and a Tutor and a card like Twilight Prophet is really solid, but if there are ways to just improve, and you really only need to bump up the power on 1 or 2 creatures to make it a really competitive deck, whilst as long as you have things like Concealed Courtyard, it's obviously going to be very relevant. Losing some of that mana base when Kaladesh goes could possibly be a problem. That's obviously going to be dependent on the lands that we see, but we will still have access to unclaimed territory, which is very, very cool. You know, we just saw the Whiteley Planeswalker token. Is there going to be a relevant Planeswalker in black-white for tokens or for an aggro strategy? You know, something like Whiteley you could almost play if it was in black-white. Obviously, Whiteley would never be in black-white. But I think you got some interesting, you know, just some interesting avenues down, and I'm excited to see whether you play it more as a control build or a mid-range build, or even just straight aggro build, and you're just going to race them. You're going to use tribal synergy. You're going to tutor up the relevant, whether it's a lord, whether it's a flyer, whether it's a vampire that can act as pseudo removal. That's a card that you can put in play, and it makes your sideboard really flexible as well. So rather than just show you the cards, you know, that we pull out our boosters, hopefully you've enjoyed seeing them on the screen as I speed sort them now. I'm totally doing this in real time. This is not sped up at all. But good luck. Hopefully you all had an awesome pre-release. I'm very excited to see where vampires live, as you can tell, in the upcoming standard meta. But thanks so much for watching this one. Hopefully you enjoyed your pre-releases. Peace.